a lot of things had to happen exactly the way they happened in order for this to occur. And because each one of those things is unlikely, the confluence of all of them is extremely unlikely. And when a thing happens that's extremely unlikely, it's something in the human brain wants to reject it. It's like it couldn't possibly be what it appears to be. We want to impose onto that chaos a kind of order. And the conspiracy theory is actually more comforting to a certain subset of people than the truth. It's more comforting to believe that Israel is so powerful and so sophisticated that they actually know exactly what the secondary and tertiary effects of all of their actions are going to be in such a way that they can perfectly orchestrate and perfectly manipulate these situations into existence. At least that means somebody's in charge. At least that means somebody knows what's going on. So, that doesn't bring me any comfort, but I think it truly brings a lot of comfort to a lot of people when they see 9/11 happen. Think of how many things have to go wrong all at the same time in order for 9/11 to occur. Much better to believe that the Jews just did it. Much better to believe that somebody somewhere is actually an expert. That it isn't just the DMV all the way down, right? That the government isn't just the DMV ad infinitum.
Right.
It is, though.
Except that it is.
Well, the irony of that, though, is where you're trying to bring order to chaos, which is kind of what's happening. Is you're saying, hey, there's so many things that had to go wrong here that I'm going to introduce about 10 times more variables by putting this other entity that has so many other pieces going on here that it's so exponentially less probable than just what you got there. And that's the other thing too. And again, you guys, you've been around security. I taught close protection and things like that for a really long time. Those vulnerabilities, this is the one vulnerability that Tyler Robinson in this particular instance exploited. But really, there's always vulnerabilities that can be exploited. As a matter of fact, if I was it's like, Gary, you have to take this person out at this event like UVU, right? It's like, no problem. We're going to do the same thing that they do all over South America. And that is, I'm going to wait for him to leave. And when he comes to the first stop sign, we're going to put somebody out there to make them stop. And then we're going to shoot up the car. That could have happened. They weren't using armored vehicles. We could have exploited this 1,000 different ways. And they say, he had access to the roof. Well, if he didn't have access to the roof, I've been to UVU, and literally there's plenty of windows and other he could have found entrance into one of those. And it's like, well, it's the security team's fault. Well, the security team is not the Secret Service detail. It's like you're talking about the ability for them to go and room clear all of these, secure those, have people posted. But Tyler Robinson could have went in one of these empty rooms, either shot out a window or opened a window and would have able to be that's just the type, Charlie Kirk was not the president of the United States. And even with the president of the United States, as we see, there's plenty of vulnerabilities there as well. But to pretend that, let's be real, most close security protection details are just a heavy dose of visual deterrence. Yeah. It's just a fact. Because if somebody wants to take them out, they're going to. And we're not going to worry about, when you got 3,000 people in the courtyard, and you got a security team of 11 people. No. And by the way, they know that is a carry campus. So 5 to 10% of the people in there have firearms on them. So we're talking between 300 and 150 firearms within shooting distance, 25 yards of Charlie Kirk. It would only make sense that the most likely course of action or the greatest danger is what we're paying attention to. I mean, other than Martin Luther King, we don't really have a precedent for a sniper shot taking place on a non-politician, and specifically, outside of a president.
Right.
It's never happened before.
And Charlie wanted to put himself in that environment.
Yes.
At Daily Wire, our security team would have objected in the strongest possible terms to one of our guys standing out in an exposed environment like that. And sometimes my job was to heed the advice of my security team. And sometimes my job was to override the advice of my security team. Because, and this is the problem that the president faces, but at a much smaller scale, Sometimes you got to press the flesh.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to be out with the people.
Yeah.
Sometimes security's job is to never let that happen. I don't know what conversations took place between Charlie and his team. I know what would have taken place between me and our team. It would have been, no, you cannot do that.
Well,
and I would have said, but we have to do that for this reason, this reason, this reason. It's a business decision, not a security decision. Excuse me. And we would have wrestled with that and had an argument about it, and each presented our side, and we ultimately would have made the decision that we thought was best. And sometimes that decision isn't security first.
Yeah, he understood the risk, and I did have long conversations with I interviewed Brian Harpole. I've had conversations with him and some of the other security detail about that exact thing. They were constantly trying to get Charlie to take security more seriously.
Yeah.
They wanted him to wear a vest. His wife wanted him to wear a vest. He wouldn't. And, he didn't. I could tell what he didn't want them to do was win through terrorism, right? He didn't want to capitulate to change anything that he was, and I feel the same way, and I would probably do the same thing. And it probably, if you were in his position, I'd probably end up dead too. But I would feel the same. And by the way, Trump is kind of like that as well, right? He's like, get down. No, fight. Like, you're getting shot at, retard. But
That's President.
Yeah. His security team wanted to have bulletproof glass up there. They wanted those things, ballistic protection. One of the things that he talked about that Charlie insisted upon, like they wanted the rope line, and you can see at UVU the all the bike racks that are sitting there that are being a hedge between him and a buffer zone between Charlie. The area where the person was speaking, he insisted that was open between him and the mic. So we at least had a direct line. That was what Charlie. So he understood the risk, and he was willing to take those risks, and he thought what he was doing was that important, and how he was doing it was just as important.